Good morrow, Vikings. Let's chat about Eikthyr, the first of Valheim's many bosses. Eikthyr is the Meadow Forsaken, Valheim's term for bosses, an abnormally large stag with an affinity for lightning. He does 3 very animated attacks and is a pretty basic encounter overall. The first is a melee attack that only happens when in close range of him. For this attack, he will bow his head and try and ram you with his antlers. There are times when he will try and charge with you from a longer distance with his attack, so be wary. Pretty easily countered with a tower shield. You can block with that or just dodging away. The other 2 attacks are similar in animation and both deal 15 damage with his lightning affinity. The first is an AoE attack that creates a large bubble around Eikthyr. The other is a lightning bolt attack that is shot from the deer's antlers. In both, Eikthyr will rear up onto his hind legs and slam his hooves back into the ground for the attack. The difference is that with the long-range lightning bolt attack, he will first run away beforehand and then do his attack towards you. The best way to beat Eikthyr is simply to kite him around while shooting him from afar with arrows. Cutting down a bunch of trees in the area so that Eikthyr has to run around them to get to you is a great way to help keep him at a distance. I would prepare 2 bows and lots of arrows for the fight. You can also build this tower structure to break the AI. I've seen some YouTube videos about it, however, I don't really think it's necessary unless you're having a lot of trouble. He's a basic encounter, and I think that you can do it without breaking the AI or cheesing the boss. This is the Eikthyr fight at its base, so let's talk about how to prepare for it. Eikthyr's summoning circle can be found by interacting with the Vegvisir at the sacrificial circles where we are dropped in. Hugin the Crow will make sure you interact with it through the tutorial and peering above it. The Vegvisir will show you the closest spawn location for the Forsaken. Remember this later on because all of the bosses can be found through similar Vegvisirs. To summon him at this place, you will need 2 deer trophies dropped from hunted deer. This can probably be the trickiest part of preparing for the fight, since deer will run away if you get too close and your stamina at low levels just isn't high enough to chase them. To kill them, you'll need to make a crude bow with 10 wood and 8 leather at a workbench. Wood can be found easily by chopping down trees, and leather is acquired by killing boar. Boar are much easier to kill than deer. Just use the axe that you made for cutting down the trees to farm them. Eikthyr is best fought with a bow, however you can fight him with any of the weapons at your disposal in the early levels. If you fight him with a bow, consider setting up a workbench nearby with a roof so that you can mend your bow, or make 2 so that you aren't left without a weapon if one breaks. For melee enjoyers, I would also recommend building a tower shield. It can slow you down, but the added protection will be worth it. For gear, rags are going to work just fine for this fight. Make your pants with hide dropped from boars. I mean, I personally prefer this method because deer skin leather armor doesn't offer you much more protection versus the rags, and the costs can be pricey. Since you upgrade from meadow gear quickly after you've unlocked the resources in the Black Forest, it's better to just save the deer hide for gear that will last longer and be more protection than to waste it and move on super quickly. As for food, this can vary. The best in slot food for the Eikthyr fight is going to be cooked deer meat, cooked boar meat, and honey. Honey can be dropped from beehives and farmed using a bee to build one at your base. They can be found in abandoned houses throughout the meadows. The best way to get them is to shoot them with a bow, but if you haven't made a bow yet, you can simply put down a workbench and break the structures that are holding it up. Honey is a resource that is useful throughout the game, so I would definitely start a farm early and prosper. Trust me, you are going to thank me later for starting a bee farm early. If you aren't able to find a beehive though, you can substitute honey with raspberries or whatever else you have on hand. The final thing that you're going to need before the fight is going to be the rusted buff. This is probably the most OP thing in the game, and it increases as you progress through the game and get your comfort level higher. Get into the habit of making sure that you have the rested bonus so that you always have the plus 50 health and stamina regen, along with the plus 50 XP gain. During fights, this can pretty much be a life or death difference. But yeah, that's it. With all the preparations done, you can go take on Eikthyr and get the sweet, sweet rewards of victory. Make sure you hang his head as a sacrifice to Odin on these stones and craft up your new antler pickaxe before you head into the Black Forest to continue your journey to Valhalla.